This week on CD-ROMP, a frog plays in the mud.
Yeah, I'm sure that could happen. I didn't see it, but I believe you. Jim, your sound of laughter is frightening. No, that's even worse. Welcome to CD-ROMP, a brotherly stroll through the PC games of the 90s and early 2000s. My name is Jim. Wow. There he is. And here's my brother, Jim, a.k.a. James.
Yeah.
Jim, do you go by Jim these days? Can I call you Jimothy?
Tax collector. That's all I was thinking when you sang that CD-ROMP bit.
You have to do it quite loud.
Well,
and away from the mic is the flavor of the day.
Because you lean away from the mic to breathe.
Well, yeah. Welcome
to like Tezande.
Yeah. You said it in a weird way. Tezande. I guess it sounds like one word. And that's definitely his name.
Do you say it's Tezande? Is it Tezande?
I don't know, but for some reason when you said it, I didn't like it.
Let's see if it brings up any etymology here. Let me just bring up Tezande.
Any edamame here. Well, my colleague here looks up information about Tezande.
Wow, that's not his real name.
That's his stage name?
He has a stage name. His real name is Adam
Zande.
Nairere Bonner, or Boner, perhaps.
Well, that laugh wasn't a laugh. That was a cough, because that could be his name. Shout out to Tezande.
Tezande.
Welcome to CD-ROMP once more. This week, we've gathered together to talk about Everquest, which came out in what year, Jim?
March of 1999.
March of 1999. Okay, before we begin, very quickly, if you're watching, you could be listening, and if you're listening, you could be watching. This podcast is available in video on the platform YouTube with gameplay footage, and on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, blah, 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 blah.
Why did the A-Team theme come to mind?
That was literally the only thing you could think of. No idea. Entirely related to the gameplay.
I don't want to get copyright stricken.
If you're curious how this podcast works, every week we take turns picking a game, my brother and I here, and then one person does the research and the other person focuses on their gameplay experience. We meet up and we talk about the game in relation to our enjoyment and how it holds up in present day conditions, geopolitical, thermal, Kelvin. Any kind of condition that can be present.
I mean, I would say thermal is pretty close to Kelvin, considering that's just
Yes. Okay. Some people are saying that on the boards.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I've already brought it up like 95 other times that you guys didn't hear, but Jim's having a stout right now, so just cheers to you, Jim.
What is it? Cheers to beers?
Cheers to beers. Jim, I'm not going to go through the whole rigmarole, all right? But
cheers to beers. Well, I'm drinking it out of my Trogs glass.
You have to have
and
a
I'm
sip
drinking
out
it on top of my Trogs coaster. And
damn, you're trogged out.
My Trogs hat is within eye shot.
Shout out to Trogs Independent Brewing and the homie.
I don't think that's all I have Trogs near me at the moment.
He's trogged out. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I think that's all I have. No, I have the Perpetual beer up above me.
No, that's going to be my new text joke. No,
I'm not going to reach for it.
Me.
It's up above me. Yeah.
You know what? Somebody actually mentioned on Reddit the other day. They're like, "Wow, craft beers and retro video games, count me in."
Yeah, but
we don't really mix the two anymore. Although we are very interested in both.
Define interested.
Well, you do them with your face, one way or the other, right?
Then yes, interested.
Yeah. So maybe down the line, the two will meet again. For now, they live separate lives.
You know, I've thought about this a little bit. I was thinking of we can actually put together like a little video series called Craft Beers and Indie Games.
For those of you wondering why we're laughing, we already did that. So if you want to look back at our YouTube channel, you can watch us play indie games and drink craft beers.
Good times, man.
I would say they were good times. Maybe in the future, we'll have fun again.
Yeah, not now.
Not now. This is serious. This is hardcore shit, actually. Jim, I think we covered all of the housekeeping.
And pleasantries.
Yeah, do you want to jump right into it?
Yeah.
So Jim picked this game.
I did pick this game.
Which means he's in charge of history lessons. Guys, let's all get cozy. Hold on. You did about 8 so's. Let me just get cozy out.
Okay. Get your
I wish I
clothes
had a
on.
blankie right.
Get your car washed. Get your car
I
washed.
wish I had a little blankie right here. All right, I'm ready to learn.
All right. So, all right.
Always a great start when you start by sighing. It gives a real good vibe. It sets the tone real well.
Okay. So there's a lot of info out about this game. So first of all, it published, released in 99, maybe March 13th, if memory serves. I didn't write down the day, but I think maybe March 13th or 16th of 99. Okay. It was in development from 96. That's when they started.
3 years.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to talk during this?
Yeah,
Can I
I
ask
don't care.
questions?
I'm going to ignore you or not ignore you. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, that's 50-50. I'll take those odds. Okay. Wow, so that's a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was slow going, so I'll get into it. So it was originally the original concept as credited, and the original vision was by, I wanted to make sure I got his name right, because that last guy from the other game, I butchered his name. I don't even remember his name anymore.
The guy from Star Wars Rebellion?
Yeah.
Wute?
Yeah, I'm still not sure. The problem with a lot of fonts is that like uppercase I and lowercase L are very similar.
That is true.
So like sometimes I don't know.
But an uppercase I doesn't happen in the middle of a word.
If I typed it, it could.
Fair enough. All right. You got me on that one. Guys, you got me good.
Because I'm just working off handwritten notes here, which are a little bit out of... So how about I kind of cover... Do you want to do the history? Do you want to give an overview of the game or the history of the game first and then the overview kind of of the game?
I'd say take it organically.
All right. So
however you're feeling.
So the original kind of concept of the game, like to be an MMORPG, was envisioned by John Smedley, is the name of the guy, who worked for Sony at the time. And he had worked on some other games. They were mainly sports games, if memory serves, but he was always a fan of Dungeons and Dragons and kind of adventure games and like multiplayer type games like that. And he was the one who wanted to make like a multiplayer, like interactive kind of dungeon game. So the things that existed before this were just like handwritten like D&D games, right? And then eventually in like the mid 70s, I believe it was, no, mid 80s or something like that. I didn't have the super.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you describing like the birth of RPGs in general?
The birth of MMOs, yeah.
MMO. Okay, massively multiplayer online role-playing game.
Yeah, right. So here's where the influence kind of came from was they were called MUDs, MUDs, multi-user dungeons. And so this was people could just literally connect to the thing and it would be just a text-based game. And then you can get like, I think up depending on like where you were able to connect to or like what sort of like DARPA net you had at the time. You could connect maybe like 100 people all at like Stanford or something, you know?
Yeah. And so should we mention real quick? Sorry.
Sure. Yeah. Go
what Jim's referencing is that in the very extremely early days of the internet, there was connected all the like big colleges. First it was the military, and then there was also connected to the colleges that had like research labs.
Yeah. You could connect to like the mainframe.
Yeah, all different things. So, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's kind of was the influence of the game, and that was his vision, right?
Okay.
So
he wanted to bring that to life.
Right. So he wanted to make like a multiplayer, like role-playing game like that, right? So, but he needed to find people. But there was, right, to make the game, because he wasn't a developer or anything. He was just like a game producer and executive. Or I don't remember his exact title.
Got it. Yeah.
So he needed to find like people to do it, except like there weren't people that were doing it. Like this wasn't something that existed, nor were there people that wanted to work on this.
Sure.
So he had found these two people, Brad McQuaid and Steve Clover, who had been working on their own like RPG type game called War Wizard. I think it was actually called War Wizard 2. They had some, I don't know if they ever made the War Wizard 1 or whatever, but they were making it. And eventually they were like designing it. And it was like a Dungeons and Dragons type game, and they ran out of money. Right. And so then they were just like, we really like this game, but it's only like 3/4 of the way through. And so they posted it on some message board. They were like, if anyone wants to give us money, here's the game. and we'll
This
finish
is before
it.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, basically like an old timey Kickstarter in the 1990s, in the mid 1990s.
So this was like a 3D. It was for the PC, but what did it look like? Was it 2D, 3D?
Their game?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't 3D at all. I think it was.
Okay.
I'm not incredibly sure. I didn't look into what their game looked like, but I know that.
Okay.
So that this guy like found their message board posting for however.
Because he was into that kind of shit.
Yeah, clearly. And he was like, yo, you guys are dope. Do you want to help me make this game?
Yeah.
And so apparently they just like quit their regular jobs like 2 days after they talked to him. They were like, yeah, we're going to go do this. We're going to work for Sony and make this game.
Damn.
But the problem was
90s.
is that because like Sony was so focused on making like regular games, they were like trying at every point to like not even let the Japanese side of Sony, like the super higher up management, even know they were working on this because it was so against like the focus of the company. So they had their own studio called like 989, I believe it was called, was like an internal in-house thing.
Very familiar.
Yeah, 989 Studios, and then I think it eventually became Verant Interactive. Okay. And so they were working on it, yada yada. Well, I've been working on it for a little while, right?
No, I know. It's just funny.
Like, so now it's like 1997 or something like that, right? And so eventually PlayStation, PS, has to shift their focus to making the PS2, which was launching in 2000. And they were like, yeah, we're done with this. We don't want to make this game anymore.
So this was planned for PC the whole time?
Yeah. They were like, we're not interested in making an online PC game.
Yeah.
But they were like, but if you can find other
Bro.
funding, you can continue to make this game. So that happened to these dudes again.
Interesting. So they just allowed them to take the intellectual property with them.
So what ended, I guess. I don't know the extent of their agreement, right? But so they were eventually got funding from another part of Sony, another like leg of Sony, which is like Sony Online Entertainment or Entertainment Online. One of those things?
Yeah, I think it's Online Entertainment. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, let's see if Sony Online Entertainment. Yeah, that's what I wrote here.
Check, Bob.
Yeah, and so then they were actually able to like make the game, but like so they had to like keep finding like random people to like work on this game, but like there weren't people that like knew how to do this or like they were creating like their own genre. So like they kept saying
this is
like
the first MMO. You're saying
it wasn't like the first MMO, but it was the first like 3D. Like legit MMO. So before this, we could talk about like what was successful. Like right before was Ultima Online.
Sure.
If you've ever heard of that.
I have not heard of that.
So that launched, I believe, in 1997 with like great success because that was like one of the first. It wasn't like 3D in the way that Everquest is, which is like first person, all 3D graphics or stuff. It was kind of top down like Diablo is.
Okay, like isometric. Whatever.
Yes, isometric. Yeah, but like a lot less graphic intensive and stuff. But
so RuneScape.
But RuneScape came after. Yeah, I don't know what year RuneScape came out, but
in the vein of RuneScape,
sure.
Shittier graphics, isometric. Yeah.
So basically, they were like they had no idea if this game was going to be good or not until like Ultima Online came out, and that was crushing.
Yeah.
That sold like 120,000 copies in like its first year or something like that. Or subscribers or something, it was kind of interesting, like back in the day. So like when I was reading like a little bit of them, like talking about like each other and they were talking and like Brad was talking about the guy was hired by John at Sony. And John was like a fan of like these like, MUDs that you connect to.
Yeah.
And he was like, I like the idea of these games, but I couldn't afford to play all these games he was talking about that he loved. Because back then you had to pay internet by the minute or by the hour.
Oh, yeah. True. And you were saying they were subscription based still?
Yeah. So, I mean, it just the internet was subscription based.
No, but that part I know. But like, did you have to pay that and pay Ultima monthly? Or was that a later?
No, so even before Ultima, like in the 80s, they had these just text-based dungeons.
And you still had to pay for the monthly.
You just had to pay to get on the internet.
Okay. So on the DARPA so it was free to play the game once you were on the internet, which you had to pay for.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Because this game now and WoW, I don't know if it's
Well,
WoW has always been.
We'll get to where we get.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kidding because for people who don't know, this game is subscription based, which is kind of unusual for.
So they were saying like, yeah, they were trying to figure out how they wanted to do the pricing because like, I think they were. I didn't look too much into the pricing, but I know they were like really concerned with like how it was going to get priced down and like what people were going to be able to afford it and like how much it was going to cost and that sort of thing. So I think they ended up settling on paying monthly instead of like whatever the other options were, like just having like a big upfront cost. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know you had to buy like a copy of the game. But I don't remember what the initial launch price was.
Interesting.
Yeah. So basically they weren't sure if this was going to be good at all. And like Sony was like not confident in them at all. They were trying to shut it down like every step. They're like, we have no interest in this. We want to do consoles. We're not going to make an online game. We don't give a shit.
Who's going to play this?
Yeah. But then eventually they were able to get like a setup going. I believe it was like in 97 in like a local like California like tech conference. They said they were able to set up like 20 computers or like 10 computers.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we had to limit it to 20 minutes per person. And that way everyone could get a chance. And then it would log you out and you have to make a new character or something. And they were like, it was so popular that people kept like rerouting back in line and switching and getting onto other computers and stuff. And they were like, yeah, that's when was the first time we knew that we really had something.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot more, but we can kind of speed up to like launch. So 1 second to have some beer here.
Yeah, hold on. While Jim takes a sip, I just want to say thanks for listening and watching. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, follow us around if you see us at a mall, and buy us an Auntie Anne's pretzel. Thank you. Jim, please, floor is yours.
Right. So eventually it gets we can it gains more steam. They come out, they have like a demo at E3 and it's like super like well received, yada yada.
Yeah.
I think maybe like 1998 at E3 or whatever, but they had to launch in March of 99. And I think I read that they were expecting to have 75,000 people within the first year of launch. Like that's the way they set up their servers and stuff like that. Yeah. Apparently they sold 10,000 copies in the first day.
Damn, that's a lot.
And so I have a few quotes here about how wild it got. So it said, one of our network programmers had done his math wrong, and it meant we were using 8 times more bandwidth than we thought we were.
Well, that's a lot. That is traditionally a lot, 8 times.
It was so popular that the internet provider hosting its servers had to physically run more cables to Los Angeles just to accommodate the tens of thousands of players dying to explore its cutting-edge 3D world.
Damn. That's fucking hard.
We used all of it, quote unquote. It was the largest internet connection into San Diego, and it was constantly going down. It messed up internet here in San Diego for a good solid week.
Damn. I didn't know it was fucking so serious.
Yeah, they just like tanked the internet for like a whole week. Apparently people like couldn't get on, and it was kicking like everyone off the whole server. Yada yada.
And people were trying to just like
every corporation on the network had their online operations sabotaged by a bunch of nerds who'd somehow been given $4.5 million in a mission to create something extraordinary. This is, I don't know who said this quote. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently for like a solid week they were just crashing it. And so they one of the original like network engineers was saying, he was like, basically it was just like 10 desktops. It's like we didn't have like servers. He's like, we didn't know what we were doing at that time.
Yeah, they didn't expect it to like launch so hard.
Yeah, they literally had to run new cable.
That's nuts. Is that the network provider had to run new cable?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it was super. So within their first year, so Ultima Online was like crazy popular. Within the first year, they already surpassed it. And I think they like eventually peaked in 2004. Right in time for WoW to take it over.
Which I'm sure they were not thrilled about.
No, they're not thrilled about. So it launched in 99, and do you know how many expansions they have released since then?
I do actually know.
Do you?
28.
That's correct.
Yes.
So it's about a 2 within the first year, the first year and a half, and then pretty much once a year since then. And
that's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And it's March is the 23rd anniversary.
Yeah.
of this game, and they're still coming out with expansions.
So they were saying like in like 2019 or 2020 or something like that. They were like, we're making more money now than we ever have.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Probably
Who's
just
playing this
advertisements,
game?
and people are buying it. I mean, we're playing the free-to-play version, but people are buying.
I know. That's nuts.
So
It's making more money than they ever have.
we can kind of get in.
Let me ask this again. Who's playing this game? Who's playing?
We did. We were playing. I saw other
know,
people
but
on there.
We played as journalists. But who is playing EverQuest?
So, yeah, loyalists, right?
It's nuts.
So along with reading a bunch of articles, I've also watched a bunch of videos, and I've listened to about like 8 episodes of an EverQuest podcast.
Okay.
Shout out for EverQuest.
Shout out your boys.
Yeah. It's pretty good. They're like 2 dudes that like played it like a whole bunch in like their 20s when it came out. And then they had to stop. And now like 20 years later, they're like revisiting it and talking about it and like nostalgia and going over it. And like, it's pretty interesting.
That's what we do.
Now, I know. So it was
we
good.
Have to shut these guys. We have to shut these guys down.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeff and Steve, I think their names are.
We're the nostalgia
Maybe
guys.
Ross.
Okay, Ross.
Yeah.
I will say one thing, though. I said, who's playing EverQuest? It's not meant to be a dig. I just literally don't know anybody who's playing EverQuest.
Yeah.
Or even growing up, I don't think I knew that many people that played EverQuest, if any.
No, but so
like
some
I mentioned
people,
last thing, only people on the internet.
Yeah, some people like it still before and still more than WoW or other MMOs.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want it to be within the scope of my talkingness or within yours, the actual setup of the game, because I have notes about and some talking points about how the game mechanics and the kind of how the game looks and how it runs. And
let me start on my experience, and then as the things come up, feel free to interrupt me.
I can interject with some facts and figures for you.
Please inject me if you can with your sauce.
Go forth, Sully.
All right. So this game is available in a variety of different ways. Okay. Firstly, you could get it on Steam very easily, which is what eventually I did once I came to the end of my patience meter.
Yeah.
You can also get it just going to like, I don't know if it's like geteverquest.com or something like that, but if you just Google EverQuest, you can go directly to their website and you can get it. The third way is there is a project/community called Everquest Project 1999.
P99.
Wherein you can P99, where you can.
That's like, Bob, we need to say legally it's not affiliated in any way with P90X.
Okay, it's not affiliated with P90X, but it's fan-run servers which are hosting the original EverQuest experience way back when. I think there's actually a couple expansions that are included, maybe like the first 3.
The first 2, I believe.
Okay, including that experience. Interestingly enough, that's free to play, and they have the official permission from the EverQuest company to run it, which is very unusual, I think.
Well, I think the whole it's only unusual because Blizzard was so fervent for a long time to take down the vanilla servers that were running.
But
I think it's because
explain what that means to people.
What, vanilla?
All what you're saying. Blizzard taking down vanilla, all that.
So, all right. So here's what I wanted to say when I started out the podcast with all of the so's.
He looks like he's got a good rant coming.
Is that there's no real way for us to talk about this without speaking through the lens of playing WoW.
Sure.
Right. And on top
World
of that.
of Warcraft.
Yeah. Correct. World of Warcraft. And on top of that, I think we've done the game a moderate level of disservice by playing it in this format. Because number one, this is a game that like changes in its experience, at least I'm told, like multiple times through different level brackets, like 1 through 10, 10 through 30, 30 through 60. The original level cap was 60.
Yeah. I think it was 50.
I
thought it was 60, but then when I was trying to sign up for P99, I put 60 because it makes you answer a trivia question to create an account. And I put 60 and it didn't work. And then
did you try 65? It was raised to 65 at one point.
No, 50 worked. Apparently.
Oh, okay. So maybe it was 50. Days. I mean, I don't, maybe I didn't read that. I heard it and I could have heard it wrong.
No worries. I don't know. It was just
I forget what I was exactly talking about. Oh yeah. So and on top of that, this was a game that was designed on purpose to necessitate cooperation with other players, right? This is not a game that you're meant to solo.
Right.
So like us playing it like from the beginning, only for a few hours, not purposefully grouping with people, was like doing the game in its form and function a disservice.
Well, I did not purposely group with people. Did you purposely not group people?
I didn't even get the chance. That's what I'm saying. Like we didn't. You know what I mean? Like we were playing it by ourselves. And
holy shit. Okay. I didn't make a note. Remind me that I did interact with someone. I have to tell that story.
I did too. I could tell you about it. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So we'll remind each other.
Yeah. So I do think that we deserve this game, if people want it, for us to go back and give it another 1 or 2 sessions of playing, to give it another 3 or 6, like a replay.
I've actually thought about that as being another kind of content for CD-ROM, where it's called like Deep Dive or something, and it's games that we'll go and we'll play for longer and report on.
So I ended up playing this game, I think, for like 5 hours.
That's very impressive.
Instead of like the 3, because I wanted to give it like more time, because I knew it deserved it, and I knew I started to catch on. Like the more that I was listening, the more that I was reading, the more things that I needed to do, or like so I don't know. So you can continue, and I'll interject again.
Yeah. So as usual, we had an extremely different experience with our games.
Okay.
We never in sync. Okay. So I started out trying to get P99 going, because I was like, wow, this is really cool. The original experience. I don't know anything about what Everquest is like now. Let's try and get, you have to like install a certain version that I just so happen to find on torrents. And then from there.
No, you didn't. Hush now.
That's where I keep my legal backups.
Yes.
On torrents.
Sorry. Yes.
And then from there, you have to create an account on this website that lets you in to get, and after that, you get the files. And once you create the account, you use that to get the login thing. I got stuck with creating an account, and my account activation email just never arrived. And I did all kinds of things, and it just never arrived. And after it took so long to try and get the game set up, because I had to get the game, I had to install the game, I had to create the account, I had to do the configuration of the account, couldn't get the account working. It had already been like an hour and a half, and I was like, I gotta fucking start playing this goddamn game. All right, and we'll see. Maybe I'll come back to this. So, tucked my tail between my legs, went to Steam, downloaded it.
Hold on.
Started
let me pause you there. Did you count that hour and a half setup time as your play time?
No, I didn't even. You know what? I should have, for fuck's sake. Yeah, fucking, if I would have thought of that, I probably would have.
Yeah.
No, it took fucking forever. And that's another thing. We've mentioned it before. I'm going to mention it again. When we're playing these games, as much fun as playing games are, there's only so much time in a week. So if we carve out a chunk of time in our schedules to sit down and play these games, unfortunately, it's not like for our particular lives. It's not easy to just get a big chunk of time to play a game. So when I sit down and I fucking have already burned an hour and a half and I haven't even started the goddamn game yet, I'm not on cloud 9. I wasn't sober to begin with. Well, and I'm like, you know what? This is really becoming quite the process.
Okay.
And it's not EverQuest's fault. Okay. That was my choices. Those are my life choices. Okay. Anyway. So I made a note here. Okay. I finally said, fuck it. I'm going to do Steam.
Yeah.
Steam has some kind of beef with me where every so often it wants to download it as slow as possible for unknown reasons. I've got gigabit internet. Everything runs incredibly well. And then sometimes it just decides, I'm not going to go slow. So it did this time.
Can you give it port priority from?
I have no idea what kind of port priority you can give it or not. But if for some reason it was taking forever. So I made a note here that I was watching medieval food videos while loading.
Oh yeah, those are good. Remember that British like royalty channel I found?
I think that's the one that I was watching.
Okay.
Where the guy is like eating the kind of food that like knights and peasants and kings ate. Yeah, that was awesome. I actually got pretty hooked on that.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, that was an interesting day. I found like that channel, and there was like that lady from like World War I was making like dandelion soup.
Yeah, I do remember that. That's some good stuff. I don't remember. I should make better notes of channels that I'm watching to shout them out. But I don't think he needs our help. He seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was watching medieval food videos while waiting to play the game. So shout out, please shout us out. So that was all right. Okay. So I install the game.
Yeah.
I go to play it. At this point, All right. I have a 4K 32-inch monitor.
All right, that's a.
It's not a brag. It's just a fact.
Well,
Bitch. I mean, so I start the goddamn game up, and everything is super tiny.
Really? It didn't scale well for you?
So small.
Oh, because you have the force aspect thing on your monitor, remember?
Well, either way.
Remember we just talked about this on Doom or whichever
Jim,
game it was?
let me continue. So small.
You've already been found out.
That I literally had my face right up the screen and I couldn't see what I was clicking. I couldn't read it. It was so
Amazing.
hard. Finally, I clicked my way through, got into a server, created a character. I couldn't see what the letters are for their name.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the race. I couldn't see anything. I was like, start this. And it doesn't let you go to any settings. I had a feeling there was either a UI scale setting or a resolution setting, something I could do to get this game to play in a way that I could view words, which you need words in this game. There's a lot of things to be explained and shown. Okay. So I bumble my way to the game starts playing. Now, at this point, for those of you who haven't played an MMO like this, if you played World of Warcraft, it looks very similar in terms of its UI, and even the graphics and everything like that are very similar. But there'll be some gameplay footage now, what it looks like when you start the game. Fuck it, and it probably will be able to show my 4K footage. And all the fucking menu windows and everything is so super micro. So I had a very, very hard time, but eventually I figured out how to get to the option to change the resolution. And I kept bumping it and bumping it and bumping it and bumping it until I got somewhere comfortable. Unfortunately, the UI seemed to be very confused about what was going on. So it was a little clunked out and things seemed to be like a little too big. But eventually I got going. And it was just hard goings from the very beginning. I mean, I would have thought that I would have picked it up very easily because I'd played a decent amount of World of Warcraft, albeit it was like 10 years ago. But I just had such a hard time doing everything. I felt like there was too many things on the screen that I couldn't see what was going on. Certain windows wouldn't close when I wanted them to close. I couldn't find the menus of things that I wanted to find. There's so much goddamn things and menus and stuff. I'm trying to find basic quests, and there's songs, fellowship, feelings, arts and crafts. Yeah. There's fucking 9 million things. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. So I continued to bumble my way
hold on,
through
hold on.
Go ahead.
Let's back up.
Yeah.
So what did you end up naming your character?
No idea.
Okay.
Because I couldn't see what it said.
I tried. I forget. I think I tried to make mine like Ron Gilberto. It'll show the footage of me trying to name it, and it was some sort of Ron Gilbert name, but it was this is one of the stock names that we already have prepared. You cannot choose this.
What?
Yeah, I know.
You know what? I think my first name choice was already taken. And
so I don't know if that meant it was taken or what, but it was some sort of Ron Gilbert name, but I was like, what? I settled on Horny Joe.
Good. Good. Damn, I should have wrote down. I don't remember what the.
Yeah. You'll find out right now.
Yes, this is true.
Zoomed in.
This is true.
Okay, so hold on.
Well, I wanted to mention something about names.
Okay, all right.
Is what you were going to say about
sure,
names?
No.
So in the manual, it mentions
Manuel.
Now this is the original Manuel. That there is naming policies enforced on the servers, at least at the time of writing of the manual.
Okay.
So you couldn't just name it anything you wanted. You had to meet the conventions of the naming policies on the servers.
So that's probably what it said. I mean, it'll say it right here, what the actual phrase was. And see it now.
Yeah, but it might not have been that because eventually I did make a stupid name and I let
you know what's
keep
great
it.
is that I can say those things and then you have to scrub and find the footage.
Yes, I know. Just like I couldn't find the BFG in Doom after blinding myself trying to find it.
Oh, sorry. I could have told you when it was. It was near the end.
It's all right. I should have asked again because you said in the middle during the podcast. You're like somewhere in the first second.
No. Yeah, it was the second to last or last level I played. Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Anyway, EverQuest. Yeah. So I think that also ties in, and you might have better insights here.
Sure. Yeah.
There's an option and settings and everything around role playing while in the game.
Yeah. So let's back up again.
Maybe you can unpack that.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
So hold on. Well, I'll pack or unpack, but let's back up. So maybe you don't know because you couldn't see, but you had the option to pick a sex, man, woman, a name,
yes, that's true.
a race, a class, and a deity.
That's true. Yes.
So what were the things that you picked?
About that. I have to fast forward to go back. I have to fast forward to go back. I think it was a dragon woman. And I don't know.
I was pretty convinced you were going to pick the Khajiit.
Well, hold on. They are pretty sexy. I did make a note about that.
Oh, I know.
Eventually, I got through the tutorial and then got into the normal game.
Okay.
I was just getting thwomped and couldn't figure out how to get back to the tutorial area. So I created a new character. I said,
okay.
Yeah. So this one, I don't remember what the hell I named it, but it was a goblin man. And I was a shaman. And I don't know what my god was. Looked something like Uzbekistan.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, something with Z's or something. And I began the game again. And this time, because I had changed like the resolution and I got like the menus a little bit better, I went through the normal way, started doing the quests, got out like to the main tutorial area, and continued to clunk my way from there. But at no point during any of that did I get any enjoyment, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just put that out there.
All right. So I can kind of break some of this down for you. Okay. So
sure.
There are 16 races and 16 classes, at least as it sits now. So I think it started with 14 and 12 or 12 and 10, something like that.
Yeah.
And I believe eventually there was 2 more were added. Let's see if I can remember which ones. Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, bing bing bing. I don't remember which one. Maybe Beast Lord.
I knew there were 16 classes. There's 16 races too?
Yeah, so Barbarian, Dark Elf, Draken, Dwarf, Erudite, Froglook, Gnome, Half Elf, Halfling, High Elf, Human, Ixar, Ogre, Troll, Vashir, Wood Elf.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And then the classes are Bard, Beast Lord, Berserker, Cleric, Druid, Enchanter, Magician, Monk, Necromancer, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Shadow Knight, Shaman, Warrior, Wizard. Proud of myself for how fast I read those.
There you go.
So
we'll have to add your LinkedIn for that one.
Yeah. Put that on my LinkedIn. And the deities, I don't know. So there's
2. I don't know what they mean.
No, there's multiple.
There was only 2 that I got to choose from.
Hot. So just like in D&D, which this game got heavily influenced.
Seems like every game is.
The race you pick and the class you pick and the deity you pick have an effect on the things that you do in that game. Like, for example, you can be so like in D&D, depending on the race that you pick, you get awarded different base stat levels. Like if you pick like a high elf, I don't know offhand, you'll start with a higher intelligence than a gnome or a troll. Troll is probably a better example.
That was very gnomist of you.
It was the next. It was right next to the elves.
I think we're going to get canceled.
Oh God,
we're going to get canceled for this.
Oh no, the gnome truthists are coming after me.
Any gnomes out there?
The gnome truthers.
This is just what the game says. We don't feel this way.
So and then just like you've probably experienced in WoW, there are depending on the race that you pick, there's certain classes you will be and will not be able to pick. I don't remember offhand what the kind of relationship is. If there's some races where you can pick every class so there are optimal choices of race for class, right? If you want to be like a warrior, pick like a troll or an ogre or something like that. You wouldn't want to pick like a high elf. I don't know why I keep using high elf for every example, but
is it because they have better passive traits for that?
Well, no. So a troll, for example, starts out with better stamina and better
that's what I'm saying.
Like strength.
Passive traits.
Yeah, passive stats, whatever you want to call them. And so it's to my knowledge, at least with the vanilla version, and not the version that we played with, or at least the class that I picked, you can assign points from there. From the base stats, you can assign points to different stat figures if you like. I don't know if you were able to do that. I don't even
know if I did. Yeah,
I didn't, but I don't know if I had the choice. I might have been able to, and maybe it randomly assigned it.
Too many fucking
or maybe
menus.
I missed out. Right. So we'll get to that. And also, depending on your race and depending on your class, together will give you the options of what did I call them? Deities you can pick and choose to pray. So in the game, kind of like how there's like Horde and Alliance in World of Warcraft, there are like people in this game that are both religious and like racist against potentially the race that you pick. So apparently, like if you pick the dragon people, literally everyone except the dragon people hates the dragon people.
Because dragons are too cool.
And will either not let you sell to them, give you bad prices, or just try to attack you.
Damn.
Depending on what god you pray to, the NPCs might not want to trade with you at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah. So it gets super deep. And so you were talking about like, so you pick all those things and you start the game, right? So we're playing the kind of up-to-date free-to-play version. I don't know if it's up to the most recent expansion. I didn't look into that.
I'm sure it is. I mean, if you're getting it in a normal fashion, I'm sure it is.
Right. Okay. So in vanilla, it just kind of drops you into the game. There is no start here, do all these things. Here's your quests. So when you're playing vanilla, there is no like they're in WoW, like there's an exclamation point above people's head to tell you where the quests are, or even you get quests and keep track of quests just by talking to people.
Right. Yeah, I'd heard that as well.
So there is no like you started a quest log. There is no quest log. You just have to talk to people, and you have to kind of pick up on the things that they're saying. Like they start talking about like the bone chips or something like that. And you actually have to parrot back to them certain key phrases to get them to expand on things. And so that's kind of, that happens in the version that we play, but it's actually made a little bit simpler because it'll usually get put in like brackets or something, and you could even just click on it instead of saying it back to them.
Now, speaking of, as you mentioned, sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought there.
So like, for example, someone like an NPC will start talking about like the amulet of Jizdor, right? And so like in the vanilla version, you would say back to them, they would just like mention it in conversation. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm really looking for the amulet of Jizdor," and you'd be like, what are you laughing?
Yes.
Why?
The amulet of Jizdor. I'm sorry, was that supposed to be serious? I'm not allowed to laugh at that. Are you laughing at the amulet of Jizdor? You sick fuck.
Yes,
it's very sacred.
So then you would have to say back to them, "What is the amulet?" or like, "Who is this?" And that's how they would tell you, "Oh, you know, I don't know exactly what they would say, but they say like, I'd really like for you to get
write the game.
I'd like for you to go see the four kill the four gnomes. We'll keep it against gnomes here. Kill the four gnomes that are near the northeast corner of the forest," or something like that. And now
this gnomism must end.
In the vanilla version of the game, when it first came out in 1999, there were no maps. There is no map button. There are no published maps of the game by the company.
That's insane.
So all of the maps that you had to get, you were published on like homebrewed, like maps created by people and published on like message boards.
Or books. I know they had books you could buy.
Sure. I guess there was probably, I don't know if official or sub-official books or whatever licensed out to people. But you basically had to go fishing around on the internet to find maps of these places. And there was no, like, you could bring up a map and know where you are. You had to like orienteer and cartograph yourself.
Right. Which is pretty sweet. Well, it's pretty fucked, but pretty sweet.
And so the way like the HUD originally worked, and you can talk about how it is and when we play, but let me just break down kind of the vanilla version as I've heard it, because we haven't played it, right?
Yeah.
I've seen pictures and like all of that stuff that's like kind of like surrounds and like picture frames the thing.
Yeah.
You could talk about what it's like now, but before it was locked in. So like the screen that you were playing in and the 3D rendered graphics and everything was basically like a 1/3 of your screen cut out in the very center where you could like see and move around. And then there was text box underneath, and on both sides there was locked things that you couldn't move.
Yeah.
And so you had to try and figure out, there was like not hold your hand, just dumped you in this world. You had to figure out how to set up hotkeys. You had to figure out how to do everything for yourself. Yeah. It was very just like sink or swim type game, I'm told.
Yeah.
Which, so you can,
we can comment that we've played many games that are like that.
Yeah. No.
During this time, it wasn't as strange to do that to a user.
I think I might have almost preferred like that version, because like this, like when we started playing this game, not to encroach into your thing here, but
feel free to crouch.
It was like overloading me again, just like Star Wars Rebel Assault or whatever the fuck it was called, with like tutorial after like text box after text box of what I need to do. It was like, okay. And then it was like, then do this. And I hit okay. And then do this. And I was like, just fucking let me play.
You can't even X out. You can't even X them out.
You can't even X them out until you do the thing they're telling you to do.
Yeah.
Like you press okay and it pops back up.
It's in the way of my goddamn screen.
Yeah, so you can go.
Clunky. Yeah, so something interesting about the UI. Apparently, for people that play nowadays, there's a lot of different UI modifications you can add to make it more comfortable, which was the case with WoW as well, if I remember. WoW, again, being World of Warcraft. And apparently, in 2023, they're coming out with a whole new UI overhaul.
Wow. So let me talk about one big thing was that in 2012 they went full free to play for everyone. That's when they stopped collecting monthly service or monthly subscription fees. They went free to play in I believe 2012 or 2013.
So the way it works with paying, to my understanding, you have a certain amount of characters you can make for free. It might be 3. And then after that, if you want to have more, you have to pay. Also, there's only a certain number of servers that are set up in a certain number of ways that you could play for free. Now, if you pay, there's a number. I feel like I'm saying the same thing over again. There's a number of different servers you could play on, which I think are even running different versions of the game and different expansions. And some are running the original and some only last for a certain amount of time. Yeah, there's all kinds of things going on. It's not just like the same in every single server. And apparently people like playing certain versions for certain things, and it's a whole big to do, which was a little bit beyond my understanding.
Right. So to jump back into kind of the future history, if we will, after we go through starting playing the game.
Days of futures past.
Right. Yeah. If we'll get a little X-Men on it. Right. So the game came out in 1999 and they started immediately pushing out updates. Right. They started putting out expansions. And I believe it was the first couple came out as physical expansions. Right. Like boxes, hard boxes.
Okay. I was going to ask you what that meant, but
yeah, like you had to buy the box to get like Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, or what was it, Feeding Frenzy or something? What were they called?
Loopy Landscapes, Corkscrew Follies, and the third I can't remember.
I do remember seeing like in.
Are you going to say EB Games?
I was going to say EB Games, but that's not what I wanted to say. But yes,
because you've told this story already.
Yeah, I remember seeing the boxes for the expansion, but it's like something that has stuck with me, right? Like, but I don't ever remember seeing EverQuest boxes anymore, even among the PC game section. Like there was like a Need for Speed I remember seeing was there,
a lot of them. Yeah,
because that came out like pretty early. The first Need for Speed game.
There was a number of Need for Speed games. Yeah,
the first one came out in like 2000 or something, 2001, something like that.
I think even before that, probably.
Maybe. But anyway, it was early.
That's a tale for another day.
Yeah.
But so the reason for people who are only current day gamers somehow, but you're probably not if you're listening to this podcast, you have to think about the amount of content that you needed to get versus how quick your internet was and how long it would take for you to download everything like that. Which also I wonder how they did it, because people's hard drives weren't unlimitedly sized. I wonder if you had to have the CD in at the time.
Well, if you remember, there was like, depending on the game you played, you had to put in a different CD. I guess
multiple
it was just
discs.
Yeah.
It was just content to load, and it would load some on and leave some there, depending on what you're doing. So I guess it could have been when you were playing
Muppet Treasure Island, which is above my head.
There is a number of discs,
but I think it's probably because there's so many like songs and like videos saved. Yeah, quality. Sorry.
Speaking of Muppets, man, I watched Muppet Christmas Carol maybe 3 times during this Christmas season, and it is becoming one of my favorite Christmas
It's so
movies.
good. I mean, it's great.
The
one of your
music's
favorite
so
Christmas
good.
movies or one of your favorite Muppet movies?
Probably
Do you like
both.
it better than Muppet Treasure Island?
I have to rewatch Muppet Treasure Island.
Okay, that's fair.
But I think as of right now, yes, at the moment.
Okay.
But Muppet Treasure Island's pretty damn good.
Okay. Well, we could do a sidebar on Muppet movies, but so basically, I was going to talk about kind of the decline of the game, right? And
why don't we do that at the end as like a
okay, sure,
over to the hump?
Sure.
Yeah, because we haven't really talked much about
it ties
gameplay.
into kind of gameplay, but sure, it's fine. Yeah,
because I feel like we haven't talked about not even that it's my part, and I like hearing myself speak.
I knew that like there was going to be so much time sucked up in like the setup of the game and talking about the history and like because it's and I know no matter how much time, if we spent 2 hours, we were still never going to do it justice. Which like,
wow, those are quite reverent words right there.
Nah, but really because it's a game that's like people have put so much time in. It was called Evercrack back in the day.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well. So,
Continue.
I agree with all of your notions and reverence and respect for the game. And let me fast forward and then I'll come back. This is often we do. I fucking had it with this game at about an hour and a half in.
Okay, let me stop you right there.
Fuck this.
Bob, let me stop you right there. So did I.
I have more. Wow, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't fucking do anything. I can't figure out where to go. I can't use this map. I can't do this quest. I can't even see the fucking names right on the map quest screen. I'm not understanding anything. It's not clicking and I'm hating it. The fucking, and that's when the game's working, by the way. Some of the times my mouse would leave and it would be on the other screens. Like we've had this problem before and it would just go to other screens.
The Star Wars Rebel Assault.
Yeah. And so
scenario?
I used your technique of whipping it, which does work sometimes. But then
it makes no sense.
I don't know why it works, and then it would show my normal screen on top of the Everquest screen. And I knew that if I clicked anywhere, it would change out of the game. Which is not quick, like with newer games. It goes
I'll tell you, there was one time I think I was trying to do something. I don't know what I was trying to do exactly, but I didn't want, it was like, it wasn't minimizing right and it kicked me out of the game. But that was pretty early on into my experience. And luckily it had saved for whatever reason. I guess I didn't get very far, but it had saved. But
this had happened near the end so often that the game became literally unplayable. And the keyboard would work, but my mouse would not want to work. And doing anything like getting out of the game, reopening it, getting back in the game, you can't just do it lickety-splickety. So for people who haven't played these kind of games before, it's a process getting into it. You have to pick your character, you have to pick your server. There's a variety of loading things that happen. And then even when you want to leave, I don't know the mechanisms behind it, but you can't just leave games like this. There's a period of leaving. So you have to I think it takes 30 seconds to leave the first 30 part
seconds
of this game.
To set up camp.
Yeah, it literally makes you sit down and wait.
It's the same thing in WoW. So there has to be a reason.
That's why I said it. That's why I said
Yeah.
I think there's some kind of mechanism. So it's not an EverQuest problem. But I'm just saying, if you're having a problem and you need to restart the game,
so
you're talking about a whole fucking
a fun fact that I'm sure I'll mess up, right?
Sure.
So I was reading something about them actually developing the game and doing this like over internet, and they were having problems with the amount of like information that they were going to have to send back and forth between the servers. That they had to figure out how to code this to get like some sort of like packet reliability with like TCP/IP and like UDP.
Yeah.
So like the two different protocols, and they were like, they had to figure out how to code it in two different ways so that they could like, they don't need reliable packet transfer like when you're running around in the server, because that information is getting processed all the time. And it doesn't matter if you're like running around, but they need to make sure it's like a reliable stream of packets when you're like trading with someone. And so they were like, we don't know how we figured it out, but whoever did it is a genius. I forget the name.
So I'll have to take a quick aside, and I have to be very careful with my wording here because there's a lot of actual computer professionals.
No. I'm not going to dive into the actual.
I'm going to dive very, very, very quickly so you know what we're talking about. There's two different kinds of ways you can go back and forth on the internet, right? One of them, you're just blasting information and you don't check to see if you're getting it, if they got it or not. And that's how like live video conferences and stuff work. You don't need every little bit of information. As long as most of it gets there, you get the idea. And then there's TCP, which checks to make sure you got everything. Now, the blasting, which the word blasting should tell you, is much faster. So you can send information that way, but it's not reliable. You don't know that they definitely got it. So Jim was saying they had to utilize both of them to try and find a mix between the two for what they need to do in the game, which is interesting. And I was like, yeah, it's got to be something with that. Like as you're moving around, like you said, your exact positions don't matter as much, but all your character information and relaying to all the other characters where you are and where you aren't.
Yeah.
A lot of information shooting all over the place.
That relies on
big undertaking.
Like any sort of like shared thing between users needs to be reliable, right? Like if you're trading or if you're interacting, right?
I don't know how the fuck they do it, but
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know how much rely is on your computer versus the server and what you send back and forth. But anyway, we should probably mention.
And it depends on the game.
This kind of game,
you know,
we have to really We should start when we do these. Start at the very beginning. Talk about the genre, and then talk about like fundamentals. Like this, we're going to do it right now. Very far in.
Sure.
This is a massively multiplayer online role playing game.
Yeah. So let's unpack that. Right. So massive.
Let's unpack it.
So massively multiplayer. Actually, we should probably group those two things together. Implies that a lot of people are playing the same game. Online implies that it's all happening online, not locally in the same house or group of computers via LAN connection or something. And then role-playing game, which is like you play a role in some sort. It doesn't need to be a fantasy role or something, but you're playing. Yeah, but you're assuming the role of another person. You're progressing the story, or you're assuming that character in like a world, right?
Yeah. And apparently, some people take that part of it very seriously because there's even commands in game for talking out of character.
So yeah,
Did you see that?
So from listening to this Everquest, the podcast about Everquest.
Sure. Yeah.
These people are talking about like when you wanna talk to people and ask them, where do I get the map for this? You have to type OOC out of character. And then say that thing. So that way people know you're talking as like a real person, because all of the rest of the time you're supposed to be talking as if you're that character.
They take that very seriously.
Well, because this is from a time that's like role-playing games were role-playing games. RPG wasn't just like a word or a game genre. It was a role-playing game, I didn't stop giving me those eyes like you're waiting to make some sort of sexual joke.
No, not sexual. You're like, back in those days.
Oh, a game was a game. You have to get like in a very sexual nature
to do that. And I mean, I was about to see, the interesting thing to me is, in my mind, what is it? Anecdotally, Everquest is like a niche game in my head.
Yeah, because
I didn't know that many people that played it.
Because I think by the time we played RPGs or MMORPGs, it was so dwarfed by WoW.
Yeah. But even before that, I mean, we were playing online games, but I didn't hear of anybody that was playing it.
Yeah, I mean,
was it bigger on the West Coast?
No, I don't think so.
Or
that
maybe
was just
an older age range.
I honestly do not know the demographics or.
The year was 99.
Yes,
I was 11. Jim was 3.
No, I would in March of 99. I would have been 7.
7. A sprite little 7-year-old talking out of character. Excuse me, where's the map, sir?
Oh, see.
Sorry, I believe I've spilled Surge all over my keyboard.
No,
Please
I think at that time I would have been playing like Lego Island.
Wow, that's a good game.
Yeah, it's
maybe we'll find out.
We'll
one day.
Yeah, I don't. You'll have to look to see if any legal, very backup of copies we own. Torrents exist.
Yes, well, I'm sure we can get a very legal.
Or we could just buy a copy, but I didn't really see any easily free to play or like published versions around.
Oh, so
I remember enjoying
it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Okay, so this game, right? In its development, was meant to be a multiplayer like needed game. So a lot of these classes,
you can't play single player.
Right. You can't. So some of these races and classes, the classes specifically.
What do you mean you can?
You can just
be online
solo.
to play.
No. I mean, you can play by yourself.
Right. But there was other people still playing on the same world as you.
Correct.
That's important to
on server.
You can't play
and
offline.
So an interesting thing about these servers, right? At least when they first launched, is that there weren't instances of the servers. It was all shared assets. So these dungeons. It was all just based off respawn timers. So you just needed to catch the right respawn time. So there would be a lot of communication with people on the same server that would like let you know if it was already cleared or that boss was already dead. Because you could run down into a server, you see no one else in there, but you go in and all the goblins are killed and the boss is dead and all the loot was taken and everything. And you just have to wait like 12 hours.
Yeah. So we even should go back and explain that. So what Jim's talking about is in MMOs these days, the way that they do end game stuff, high level, exciting, dangerous stuff for people that've been playing the game for a while. They work on a system called raiding, right? It was where you use like a large group of people work as a team and dungeons. And the whole game takes place in one world where you're all together. But for these special places, they work off instances, which is basically you go into your own private little world, and every group that goes through has their own little
the way the hierarchical structure works is like there's the world that the devs have created. Let's call it Azeroth.
Sure. Well, What's the EverQuest world name? It's like Hoggot. NORAD.
No, it's like NORAD. Yeah, NORAD. No, not NORAD. Nora, something like that.
NORAD. Yeah.
Right, and so there's the world, and then you play on different servers, which act as instances of the world, right?
True.
But then there are different dungeons, which can, at least in WoW and further RPGs or MMOs, create their own instances where you go into like a separate portal and it loads your own private copy, as he was saying. And you could enter it as a group, so you all enter the same instance. And so it would have all that same like enemies and characters would get loaded every time you go into that instance for them to be available again.
A copy for every different group.
Correct.
Whereas what Jim was saying back in the day for EverQuest, there was one copy for the whole world.
For the whole server.
For the whole server. Yeah, for the whole world. And I was watching a video about like why people used to like EverQuest. They were talking about it was such like a big thing that the top guilds, which are kind of like teams that work together, had to like do arbitration to figure out whose turn it was to do the raids.
Yeah.
They had to like work out and take turns, or it would just be like chaos.
Right. So even further than doing the raids, after that, you had to figure out who was going to get the loot. So there was like a structure you had to work out for that. People were either rolling fairly, which I'm sure no one ever did. And then you just kind of had to figure out within yourself whose turn it was to get the loot.
Yeah. And what Jim means is at the end of these dungeons, they drop items. And seeing as there's maybe 5 items and 20 people, you do the math. You got to figure out a way for everyone to get it. Sometimes
so you're doing these raids to get like parts of either like an epic quest, right? So you can turn those in to get one of the epic items that are in the game, or they're just like some other just other loot that you
a lot of
like
things to
get,
explain in MMOs for the average.
I don't know
person that's never played
how
them.
Nuts and bolts you want to get.
I want someone who's never ever played an MMO to not have things go entirely over their head. So I'm trying.
Then we got to do a lot of. We got to cover a lot of.
Okay, this is what a noob is. Okay,
yeah, so
now you look at this guy and you go, "Fucking noob."
So let's back up even like a step back from raids. So in this
game, we've talked almost nothing about what it's like playing the game.
Right. No, but in a way we have
the history, mechanics, and world. Yes, we're circling around.
I knew there was going to be a big problem coming into this. Right. So this game in its inception was made, and obviously not to be played alone. Right. I keep saying that, but it was like actually made like to be difficult or not even possible, but it is possible, obviously, to solo.
By yourself.
Like play solomentary.
Yes.
So a lot of these classes don't have much like functional solo capability. So a lot of these classes are made to function within a group. So
there's things define classes.
Huh? Well, I know I listed them.
Define what a class is. No, we didn't define what it is though.
So they're like a job. It's kind of like a job where you get different skills, things you can learn, and things you're good at doing and bad at doing.
Hold on, when you lean forward and shame, you're within the mic. Try to tilt your shame back.
I can't.
Yeah, it's like a job. It's like a job.
Yeah. So like for example,
a warrior, that's his job.
So like for example, the classes have different desirability levels based on what you want to do with them. Whether they're good at soloing, grouping, which is just a small group of people, or raiding.
Okay. Large group.
Right, which would be like a guild level, like 100 people. Not necessarily 100, but you know that.
If there's someone listening to this right now that has never heard any of these terms, like Tina, you're gonna know so much right now.
Tina, you could stop listening, please. It's not 113, an hour and 13 minutes.
You're going to have to wipe your mind of all this.
Yeah.
Yes, continue, Jim.
Right. So they have different levels of desire and they have different functionality, right? So the classes that could like heal could be a cleric, shaman, a paladin can heal, a monk.
Healers.
Yeah, so I mean healers you can call them. They have different names in different RPGs, right? But the classes that can heal, so they function as healers, right?
Yeah,
that'll be the majority of the role. So there's also races that will tank. Bob, what do tanks do?
A tank is to absorb damage from.
That's correct. They want to hold the aggro of the main target, and they want to absorb all the damage.
The attention of the bad guys.
Correct. Yeah.
Means you've aggravated them into attacking you.
Right. So they want to have high health and high armor.
I have to like check my own knowledge here.
Yeah. And so they don't necessarily need to be the ones doing damage. So the ones that are good at doing damage will be magicians, rogues, to an extent, rangers, wizards. Wizards. Those are high DPS classes. DPS stands for
damage per second.
That's correct. So their main
Dealing
responsibility
damage.
is doing damage.
Doing the killing.
Right.
Yep.
They don't need to be pulling or healing or tanking. And so, Bob, what is pulling?
Pulling is a way of controlling how many people you're fighting at once. So you don't want to just run into a room and like, if you've ever seen Leroy Jenkins, Leroy tax collector. So you want to be very surgical
Strategic.
with how many bad guys you're fighting at once. So a puller is someone whose specialties is pulling the controlled amount of bad guys to fight.
Right. So let's,
And
for
not
example,
everyone.
a ranger is a good puller, right? Because you have that range via ranger. So with an archery
name,
you can go
Yeah.
and you bring that target into your
Bit of a song?
AOE.
Yeah.
How about that?
Sure. Yeah. Area of effect. That's what
Yeah.
that one means. Yeah, there's a lot of
and
things to
then-
explain in the genre.
Yeah. So that's kind of the basics. So there's also like
I feel like I'm studying for like the MMORPG SATs.
I know, right? And so then there's also like characters whose responsibility will be for like attacking like the sub bosses. So like a lot of times when you fight like a big boss, there'll be like little other creatures. It'll be their responsibility. So this is sort of the battle strategies and like the
They have
role
a
responsibilities.
Those have another name. I can't remember.
Off
what it is,
something,
though.
off target, off something. I forget.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are like the lenses in which a lot of the classes are viewed. Their effectiveness at like doing this at a solo level, a group level, and a raid level. And so like the balances and like the effectiveness that they're put in were done from the beginning with those things in mind. So like if you wanted to play this game by yourself, you pick someone that's like, I think like a druid is someone who's good at soloing because they have some like low level of like healing ability that you can do to yourself. And I think their mana regeneration is decent and they can do some DPS.
Jim, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And this is a real question.
Yeah.
In life, what's the difference between a druid and a shaman?
Druid is more like elemental, I believe, in like a
touch with
shapeshifter.
nature?
Yeah, and more nature. And a
Are they
shaman
always
is more
shapeshiftery?
they're not always, but very commonly.
And shaman's more what?
Like casting spells and like more like traditional
more-
tribal like wizard, like a tribal wizard. Yeah, like
It
magic,
is-
but like
it
not
is
a
very
magician.
druidy though. You'd think there'd be more crossover.
No, I think they're kind of similar, but I don't know why they wanted to have so many classes. It was certainly a lot
There's
more
quite
that
a lot
the games
classes.
before and games after had.
Yeah. So let me talk about and you know what? I'm actually very relieved because I played so little of this game that I was worried we were going to have much to talk about, but there's so much that we can. The way that this game works is you go around fighting and killing things to collect experience points and items to further progress your character to do whatever the hell you want to do.
Yeah.
Now, there is probably one large plot somewhere that continues through the expansions, which I think is the same for World of Warcraft.
There
any other
is.
game like
There's
that.
a lot of
Yeah.
lore.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore. Lore is background of what's been going on in that world and like the stories in that world, right?
I think lore is a pretty ubiquitous term. It's not really video game or MMO dependent.
If you're not a huge nerd, you don't use the word lore very often.
But you wouldn't be listening.
Maybe
Tina
you do
tuned
for
out
our
as soon
looks.
as I said berserker or ogre.
I don't think you've said berserker yet this time.
No, I did say
You said
berserker when I
berserk-
covered the classes.
Ah, okay. Got it. But there's a lot of you can make what you want out of it. And especially as Jim was mentioning the social aspect, in theory, you don't have to really even care what's happening if you just enjoy, playing with the people that you're doing. You could do the same shit kind of over and over and over, but with different groups of people or the same people doing slightly different things. You can make what you want out of it. It's not a linear walkway that you play down. It's not Donkey Kong Country that will play the same every single time.
Right. So the game is actually it's quite
Kind of
socially
has no end as
dependent
well.
in that you need the help of other people to progress and to be effective in the game. So like apparently, according to the Forever Quest podcast, I keep plugging,
Sure.
they're talking about like finding good people to group with or good people to be in your guild, like people who will like reliably show up there and pay attention and be attentive during a raid and things like that. It's like really important, like people that you can count on to play with, because otherwise like you're fucked. Like I don't know how many times it happened to you, but dying in this game especially sucks.
I don't know.
So like when you die in WoW, we can talk about WoW. I don't remember.
Sure.
It's been a number of years, 10 plus
Yes.
at this point, right?
It made me really want to play WoW. That's for damn sure.
Oh, for sure. We're going to play WoW after this.
It looks very, very similar.
All right.
And we're back.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. Something crashed. We're back again. Jim's talking about how WoW took things from this game.
No,
WoW
well,
being
let's
local
talk about the dying mechanic. Can you speak better probably than I can to how the dying mechanic works in WoW?
Yeah. So, and I think the mechanics are very similar. In this game, you have a character who has items and money and such on your person. And when you die, your corpse, which is basically all of your crap, stays with the body. Now you get put somewhere else, depending on, I don't remember the mechanic how it works, but it's kind of the same way in both games. And then you're kind of like either a human or ghost. When WoW, were you a ghost? You started out as a ghost.
Okay, so you're failing at describing the WoW version, so I might as well just take over here.
Yeah, please. I can't remember.
In WoW, you spawn at the nearest graveyard, I believe. Which can be in wherever the graveyards are in WoW, and you spawn as a ghost, and you get to go to your body. In this game, you lose experience, which I'm not sure if you lose experience in WoW. I know you do in Diablo.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And your items get take durability hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure if there is durability in this game. I got such few items.
Here's the thing. There is, and even worse, if you take too long, there's corpse rot, and you could lose your corpse and items and money permanently.
So you can also die by hunger and thirst. Did you know that?
I did not fucking know that.
Yeah, so you might not have opened up all your bags, but it gives you water and food. And
Jim,
you can.
There's too many things in this game,
right? So it's all influenced by like real like RPG, right?
Yeah.
But I believe the way it works in this game is that you respawn back in your hometown or the last friendly town, your home city or something like that. And so you might have to run like a long time to get to your corpse. And like, it doesn't respawn you as a ghost. You respawn as like a regular person with no clothes.
Naked.
And you have to go back to where your body was, like potentially, and then just run through that whole dungeon again.
They call that a corpse run, where you're going to get your body. Yep. There's a similar mechanic in Diablo.
Yeah. Yep. That's a better equivalent right there.
Going to get your body. Yeah.
That's tough. And then you keep getting killed by that like Mephisto, and your body is all like 10 different instances of your body all around meth.
Both games, that's when you have to like hit up a friend. Yeah. Like, I need you to help me go get my body. Log it in. I got to do a corpse run.
That's funny. Yeah.
Apparently they were notoriously bad in this game, where some of them you need like a whole guild to help you go get your body.
I mean, yeah,
because the mobs are apparently so crazy strong.
Yeah.
Mobs being bad guys.
Well, yeah, people are familiar with a mob is like a gang of things.
But you could be one thing and be a mob. Yeah. That's just like a name for a generic bad guy running around.
I thought it had to be in multiple, but that's fine. Whatever. So what was your experience in your so what was your class? What class did you go with?
Shaman.
A shaman. Okay. So you're a caster, essentially.
Although I don't recall much casting. Okay. I think I did heal.
So I was a frog.
Fire?
I was a frog necromancer.
Jen, they're not called frogs. What are they?
They're frog lock.
What's frog lock?
Yeah.
There you go. It sounds delicious. Actually, I don't even know.
It's like crep lock, but frog.
Or a grovlock. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was a frog lock necromancer. I mean, I wanted to make sure I picked a class you weren't going to pick. And I was like, he's probably going to pick Khajiit. And I like went through and I was like, oh, he might pick this one.
That's from a different game.
That's from
Elder
Scrolls Skyrim. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, oh, he might pick the Khajiit.
I don't know which one I was looking at. I think I was honestly looking at the frog.
I was worried you were going to pick frog, but I was like, I'm pretty sure he's not going to pick frog.
Well, I was like, what's the evilest one?
I'm a dragon. A dragon.
I went with goblin.
Okay. Fair enough.
I didn't know that the dragons were all this like hated,
Yeah. I didn't know that
victims of racism. So I would have picked that.
And yeah, I didn't know either because I didn't have a choice of deity. I guess because I'm a necromancer, I praise only the devil or something. So I didn't know. So I didn't do the research until after I was done playing, or after I was done with my 3 hours, and then I actually ended up playing some more to give it more gusto.
Yeah.
Then
so you did a lot.
Yeah, well, I thought this game was deserving, and I think anyone who chooses to watch us talk about it is probably already knows more than we do, and is going to be annoyed at anything we say. So
I think that you did 100% the right thing. I literally could not bring myself to do it. So what I did was watch other people play on YouTube.
That's fair. It's honestly fair.
So I knew as I could talk about it. Shout out to Ion Blaze YouTube channel.
Blaze.
I am Blaze Top.
I mean, that's how I consume a lot of
about
games.
his love for the game
these days, like recent games, or not
I
even
said
recent.
to myself, I literally fucking can't play this game. It doesn't even want to be played half the time, but I want to talk about it because it deserves it. So I'm going to watch other people play the game.
Okay, so in terms of like combat, so I got up to level 5.
Okay.
I don't know. Would you
Don't know
play
what
level 1?
I don't even know.
Okay. Well, do you remember hearing the ding?
Yes.
Okay, I can tell you that ding is so annoying. It's such a bad ding sound compared to WoW.
You dinged a lot, huh?
Well, 4 times.
I don't know how many times that. I don't think I dinged. I think I got one ding under my belt.
You got a little ding ding. Well, the one
I
ding.
got up to the first area.
Well, I don't even know what that is because we spawned in different cities.
True.
I was in Glooming Well,
Yes.
something like
we
that?
did not spawn in different cities because that's the intro noob area. So we were in the same area.
Okay. So you were in like a kind of a dungeon.
Yeah, definitely started out.
So you fought the rats, then.
That's the tutorial dungeon.
Okay.
Yeah. I have one of the notes here. Fucking killing rats in my underwear.
Yeah.
That's the game.
I was a frog in a loincloth for a while. It took me
And
a
I
while
also-
to realize that like I should have been surprised that me like trying to stab them over and over again was going to be so bad because I'm a necromancer and I shouldn't have been trying to do that. But eventually I figured out like it was so sorry. I keep leaning so deep into my mic. Like it was so annoying trying to affix spells to my like spell bar.
Yeah.
And like also like you don't just learn them in this game. There's like a skill tree where you learn. You have to go buy spells from a merchant. I don't know if you even got that far. You have to go and kill rats and like save up enough like rat juice and like rat bones to sell it to a merchant. And then for like the right amount of gold and copper, you buy spells and then you learn them and then you can assign them. You memorize them, I think, technically. But like I could not figure out how to like easily assign spells to my spell like hotbar. Like you could like hold down the left click and then it would bring up like a menu. And you could like hold down right click and these are just like file paths. These aren't menus. Sorry. I didn't mean to over-represent it. But then you could like open up your like spell book with like the V hot button. And then like sometimes I'd be able to hold it down and like drag it towards the spell bar, but then I would like let go and it wouldn't assign it there. But like the only thing I could manage to do was swap them. I could not add another one, even though I had like 6 open slots. It was so fucking annoying.
I think you were probably in the wrong menu, which this game does a lot of getting in its own way.
It was really non-intuitive. Like like it was so hard to do some things. Like just click. So like in order to talk to an NPC, you have to get close to them and then hail them. You say, hail
Zool,
Gondor.
The fuck.
Yeah. And then they'll say something to you.
When you click on them just to select them, for some reason that triggers them as if you're going to fight them. So the first time I clicked on someone,
you might have had auto attack on.
Oh, that's probably why.
So that was the only way I could really figure out how to do melee attacks was turn auto attack like on. So I had to keep listening to the same auto attack music like the whole time I was playing, and it was really starting to get to me.
Well, that's the combat music.
I know.
It's not auto attack music, it's combat music.
All right. Yeah, but like I feel like there should have been like I didn't like the physical mechanics of like melee combat, right? Like I wanted to be able to like do a stab, and like it wasn't like lowering their health points like in the same cadence as I was stabbing, and it was like super annoying.
No, I agree. It didn't. And
like I really
did not
hated
feel good, and it took a long time.
Yeah, I really hated how like every monster. I mean, like I like how I was doing it, but I hated how every monster would like automatically had health regeneration that was super fast. And so and it didn't show you how much damage you were doing, like how you could turn on in WoW. Like it would show you when you're doing damage and when you're critting, and like you could put up the thing where it shows their health bar, like you could do in Diablo and in WoW.
Mine was showing how much damage it was doing each time.
Oh, mine was not. Maybe you pressed some sort of button. I was slapping my keyboard. I was slapping my keyboard cheeks.
I certainly could have accidentally, because at some point I was hitting all of the buttons to try and get to the different menus when my mouse wouldn't work.
Yeah. Oh, so I couldn't. I mean, I could see what their health was. Like I could, by subtraction, I could see how much damage I was doing, but it wasn't showing me. Like when you're playing WoW and you do like 100 damage or something, it'll show like 100 and it'll like fade away. You know what I mean?
Crit. You can see when you're playing this game, and I'd recommend anyone who's played WoW to try this. It's free anyway, because you'll see like, oh, okay, WoW figured all this out and made it fun and easy to play, because this is the clunky. You know, like when you
this
see
is certainly the granddaddy, right? So a lot of the terminology.
You know, you've seen like the videos of those planes when they were trying to invent planes, and they're all these like crazy designs.
Yeah, like the Wright brothers.
There's a guy like no, not that one actually worked. I mean, all the guys that have like the fucking umbrellas going up and down and the pedals and like 10 things. That's like EverQuest. And then the Wright brothers come along, and they're like, check out our World of Warcraft plane. And then it goes, boop, skiddy beep beep beep.
Skadoop.
$1 billion.
But I am hoping we get enough requests to where we can play a 2004 age game and play WoW, because this every second made me want to play WoW. And then I was like, that is 2000s. A dangerous feeling to have, my friend.
And now you could even play vanilla WoW.
I have never played an expansion, so I got out before Lich King.
No, I didn't. It was around. I think I did.
Oh, you know what? No, I was on while Lich King was there, because there were blood elves for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So never mind.
So I definitely did play the expansion.
But I think you were able to play with them even if you didn't have it, or maybe I just had Lich King and
because there was like pandas, like Pandaria. Well, that's Mista
Pandaria. That was a while. You never played during that era.
Maybe Maybe I started up again or some shit. I don't know. Well, let's do a couple generic notes now that we've went as far into the weeds as I think we should go. Let's take a step back.
Maybe Mista Pandaria was 2012, September 2012.
I was already in.
You were done with college.
All right, so maybe I tried playing again just to see what it was like.
Maybe.
Just to go very base level on this game, the sounds I thought were okay. Apparently, there's a setting somewhere about sound realism. I don't know what the hell that's about, but I made a note of it. Also, there's a setting about using an MP3 player in the game, which is interesting.
So there were songs. There was a little thing that said like songs. I saw like a little text, like a box, or like a little menu box.
Well, I guess it kind of makes sense, because like back in those days, people would turn off the in-game music, play their own music. I did that all the time.
Well, there wasn't really a lot of in-game music in like vanilla. There wasn't too much going on. No, in vanilla, like
EverQuest?
EQ. Yeah.
I'm sure there was some kind of music of some kind.
I think out in the wild, there was not a lot, I don't think.
All right, fair enough.
I think it was just wild music.
I think we already covered, kind of looks like 3D games for the time. Better than better than Tomb Raider.
Especially for the genre, it was actually groundbreaking. I mean, it was the first 3D MMO.
I think to its credit visually, I was going to say the maps that you can traverse are so immense.
Yeah.
There's so much to see. The scale is very big and impressive.
Yeah, it was just like impressive. The amount of like lore and like graphic design, we can call it, like just like the art, like there was like so much put into it. Like
the scale
for the time, or even now, like still.
Yeah. So, do you feel like we did it? I feel tired. I feel like it's tired me. Yeah, I'm in another one of the scenarios where I gained a lot of respect for the game, but still have no interest in playing it.
And at the same time,
the hardest time I had.
We spent like so much time like playing it and researching and talking about it, and like I was still only level 5.
Yeah.
You know, like I was able to buy a cloth cap and like cloth gloves.
Hi, I'm gym door. Look at my clothes.
Well, you could see. I think I zoomed in on my frog when you put a hat on.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'll
Frog
have to
hats.
try and find that. Good luck with
Okay.
that. Clip not inserted here.
I literally had a harder time with this game than Star Wars Rebellion, which
Really?
I thought
That
was
game-
going to be a lot to top.
That game hurt me so much, like physically and mentally, hurt me so much.
This one really, I was in a lot of pain because I really was excited to play, and I couldn't get the game to even let me play at times. I couldn't get the UI sorted out. I was having such unfun doing basic things, just running around talking to people and
Yeah, it was
fighting
really
rats and
difficult.
snakes.
Yeah.
It was so goddamn painful. Like that's
I know.
the beginning of the
and
game.
like starting out, like the first like hour, I think was the worst. And then it got easier from there, especially when I learned that the game was like even harder than the version that we're playing. Like this is like the optimized.
This is the dumbed down.
Yeah, this is
version.
the dumb version, and like the game is meant, or at least it was designed. I don't know about meant to be like super grindy. Like it's not like a fault of our playing that like we just have to keep killing rats and spiders and bats. Like that's just the way the game was made. It's just super grindy.
I remember one of the guys saying in the video that I watched that it wasn't uncommon to get to end game with intro items because the
apparently,
drops for
like-
items were so rare and scarce.
Yeah, apparently they're just like there like aren't any good items to even get until you're like level 30 or 40 or something like that. Which is crazy. And so that's why I heard some people talking. I think, I don't know if it was from a video I watched or from the podcast that I listened to, that like attributing your base stats is like so important because the items that you get, like not only like don't have a lot of like added bonuses like they have in Diablo, insert thing of like Stone of Jordan, or what's the one of the rune words?
See.
So it doesn't
Tau SL.
yeah, it doesn't have a lot of the attributes like that. So like it'll just be like it'll just up your armor class or something. So like attributing your initial like base level points is so important to optimize like your player. That like I don't know where I was going with that, but it's super important.
Yeah. You have to
because
think
the items
what you're doing.
don't do so much.
Sword fight is like a game of chess. You must think before you move. I'd say to wrap up at least my portion, and then feel free to add on anything else you want from your experience. I definitely respect it. I feel like if I would have started playing it way back in the day, and it was with some friends, and we were all playing together, I would have got into it, and it would have made sense. I think if you're trying to start playing this game now, I'd wait a year, because they're going to do a whole UI overhaul in 2023. So you might be able to save yourself some pain. Or if you're really that goddamn dead set on it, look into what people that play the game right now are actually using, because there's a lot of modifiers to the game that for quality of life that will make it much more useful. Like one guy was complaining, he's like, you shouldn't fucking need to install the game and immediately add mods to make it playable.
Yeah,
which is the current state.
At one point, like it's the what is it like? Is it Perseus's ship? Whose ship is it?
I don't know. What's the story? What's going on here?
The old thought experiment that like you keep removing parts of the ship, and like at what point is it still the ship? What's the other?
I don't even know that one.
Yeah, what's the other Greek tale? What's that guy's name? Who's the one that killed the Cyclops?
Not
Stevie. Percy Jackson,
little Stevie from around the corner.
Perseus. I think it's Perseus's ship.
That sounds good. Like it could be right.
I can't remember. Right. So like at one point, like you waiting for these.
You can see the energy draining from our bodies. The longer we talk about EverQuest.
All right. So let me just get to the point. Right. So like at what point of like waiting for the UI changes or like quality of life updates and stuff, are you no longer playing that game? Right. You know what I mean? Like that's why we tried from the jump to play P99 because it was close to the vanilla. Like we want. Like,
I didn't know it was going to be this different in this way. I wanted it to look the same way.
Right. But because we want the experience of playing the original is right. the broad stroke, right?
So you're saying for people that want to start playing this game right
just
now,
play it.
go
if you want to play
P99.
it, just play it. I wouldn't wait for things to change or to do. Just
I would actually, if somebody truthfully came up in the street, I'd say, go fucking play World of Warcraft.
yeah,
That's a little slanderous because this is about EverQuest, but that's
no,
how I feel.
but
straight
like I
up
said
and
from the
down.
jump, like it's hard to not view it through that lens, right? Like because a lot of the things that we find annoying are maybe annoying because we think that
We know
they
how
were
much
solved
more
in
supple
WoW.
and delicious it could be. And
Yeah.
I
Tender
couldn't
and
even
juicy.
fucking talk to people in this goddamn game. I didn't know how to use the chat. I would
Yeah,
say
you
like
could,
hello
you
to
could do
people. It wasn't
slash
fucking working.
shout.
But
You
how
could
come I couldn't just say hello?
You can. I said
No.
a few times. Yeah, I could.
Well,
I
it
was like
hello's not a
one guy
command.
helped me kill a spider, and I was like,
fuck
"Thanks,
you."
Vex."
What do you say?
He had already thanked me, but I didn't realize.
So here's my one interaction. Okay, this guy's running around healing people. And I go over, finally I figured out how to send a command to him. And I go, hey, thanks for the heal. His
Yeah.
username was medicine, which I thought was weird. But I was like, oh, okay. Oh, maybe he's a healer. He'll name his, medicine. So I, hey, thanks for the heal. And he goes, medicine. That's what he types back to. That's what he types back to me. That's my only interaction in fucking EverQuest. And then I go, yes, thank you for the heal. And it's, fuck, I wish I had written down the interaction back and forth. He goes, it is for you to have healing. And I was like, yes, I know. Thank you for the healing you did to me.
People in
thank you
Warsaw
for-
who are just now getting the DARPAnet.
Thank you for the help. And then they ignored me. When he said medicine, I almost fucking died. His goddamn
funny.
username is medicine. And I'm like, is this a bot? Just goes around auto healing? Nope.
I don't know. So some things people do. I don't even want. Well, we don't even need to get into it.
Jim?
One of the more intricate stuff. Let's
What
just
are your-
let's
before all of the life is left my eyes from talking
Well, you
about
want medicine?
EverQuest, which seems like hours.
Yeah.
Medicine? That fucking guy. Shout out to medicine. You just go around healing people, you sick fuck. Your final thoughts on EverQuest in 2022.
Wow, that's the year, huh?
And you start, and the first word he says is, wow.
Yeah, right.
Dead insult to injury.
Nah, it's worth a try.
It's free.
Yeah.
You might as well give it a go. I think, like Jim mentioned, it's hard to give it a fair shake as a full work because there is so much to it. But that being said, I knew when I first started playing World of Warcraft, the first couple, half hour to couple hours, I was like, oh, fuck, this is kind of cool. I dig this. It didn't take me 20 hours for me to know that I like playing it. I got it pretty quickly and I got a vibe. In a couple hours, I could have told you kind of what the game's about. Of course, I couldn't tell you the whole game. And there's a lot to be to said about
There's like a Lich
EverQuest,
King.
but yeah. There's a guy, a lick-a-tongue. Did we do it? Is EverQuest done?
I hope so.
And I think it's going to be done for a good long while. We've put EverQuest
Until we
to bed.
revisit, yeah.
I'm glad that we've done it because I was always curious what the world of EverQuest was like for those people that didn't play World of Warcraft. What are you people doing over there in EverQuest world? Now I know. Fucking craziness. If you get into it, it looks like it could be super cool. If you can't get into it, it looks like it could be super fucking annoying.
All right.
All right, we did it. It's done. It's done. We ran into the ground. Okay.
What's?
The way that this show ends every week, and thankfully this show's over because now I'm emotionally drained.
Yeah.
I'm emotionally drained. And again, I probably truthfully only played for an hour and a half. And then I read the
No, I
manual
could
for half
see
hour,
how many
and then I
minutes you
watched
played.
like 2 hours of YouTube videos.
Yeah, okay. All right, nice try.
Every week, we switch off which brother gets to pick the games. Often, we pick the games from recommendations from viewers like you. If you'd like to recommend a game for us to play, please send us an email to theboys@cdromp.com. And we'd love to hear why you recommended this game. If you have any kind of memories or stories or love, hate, XYZ, we really, really enjoy that. So thank you if you take the time to share that with us. I guarantee we read every email and we do respond. Okay. This week, my choice is not a recommendation.
Okay.
I put the list down for a hot second.
Okay.
Okay. I'm also bending the rules a little here.
Okay. I'm
Which
double
we
not
said we
liking
were
this.
going to do. Yeah, okay.
No.
Do we want to do our
You
normal?
said we were going to do. I did not.
Yes,
say we were.
Yes, I did say that. Yes. Okay. Would you like to do a little guess? Should I do a little guessy guess, or do you want me to just slap
No. You
it
can do
on
guessy guess. I don't think I'll get it, but you can guessy guess.
Okay, this game came out in 1987. This game was developed by a studio which is now called Lucasfilm Games. This game was designed and coded by Ron Gilbert.
No, this isn't the original, is it?
This game is Maniac Mansion.
The original Scrum or Scum?
Yep, the original Scum. The original, which is like some script creation utility for Maniac Mansion. This
Something
is
like
the
that,
OG of them all. Before Monkey Island.
And you have a way for us to
Before-
play this?
It's available on Steam.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's also
All right,
probably available
all
in a
right.
number of other ways. But if you want to go out and play this game, we're going to be playing this for 3 hours. And I'll just tell you the genre in case that piques your interest or not. This is a point and click adventure. 1987, which takes us 3 years before our standard window. But I really wanted to get this under our belts so bad.
Just wanted to play a Ron Gilbert game.
I wanted to play Ron Gilbert
It's been
game.
like weeks.
It's been weeks, and I really wanted to get that foundation because we've touched on a lot of LucasArts games, which is now called Lucasfilm Games. And this was developed and published by LucasArts because I wanted to make sure I had the details there. Okay? So,
Alrighty.
thank you so much for stopping by. We love Game Recos. We love when you subscribe. We love when you follow. We love comments. We love doing this. Even when we play a game like this that literally took years off my life, even talking about it, I did get genuine enjoyment from learning about it.
Okay.
And
so that's
talking about it.
all that matters, I suppose.
So it's all that matters. Jim, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye to the people.
We'll catch you next time on CD Romp. Until then, keep stomping
Keep romping.
and keep romping. Later, bye. Dun, 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 dun.